Yeah, like for me, like man, so in 2021, my very first big movie was called A Haunting in Ravenwood.
Okay.
It's a thriller suspense movie. So it's on Tubi, Amazon Prime, and Plex. So I played this character. He was really manipulative, gaslighting, just gaslighting his wife through the whole, just asshole through the whole movie. Man, I started getting DMs
Can I
from
tell him I hate this character?
from women like, I wish you would treat me that way. Like all this like lady, I was like, but for me, she like wrote a whole paragraph. I'm just like, for me, I'm like, if I made you take time out of your day to DM me and write a whole paragraph about how I made you feel, I did my job.
This is Unmasked.
So this isn't your house. This is an Airbnb that we're at for you right now. You're here for an acting job?
Yeah, I'm doing a movie like 10 minutes down the road from here.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you? I know that obviously there might not be a whole lot to be able to speak about on it. There
Yeah,
might
I
be a
don't
lot
like to
of
I don't like to
NDA.
spoil things.
Yeah.
But what I can say, so the movie's called The Day on 101st Street. So
Okay.
Layla, who you interviewed, she's in that movie too with me. So we're both shooting that movie right now.
Gotcha.
It's like a sports drama / thriller movie. So pretty much, I play the lead character of this. His name's Booker. He's a NBA's champion for the Suns.
Devin Booker, right?
But my character's name's David Booker.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha.
So he tore his Achilles, and he's trying to get back to the NBA, and he moved to this new neighborhood, and then chaos happens with all the neighbors. So all the neighbors end up outside in the street. Phone reception goes out. People are disappearing. There's a whole bunch of chaos that happens.
Really?
So, yeah. So there's a bunch of confrontation between the neighbors that go out through the film as people are disappearing.
Gotcha. So is your character actually based on the NBA player, or is it just kind of like just so happens to?
It just so happens to be, yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's
Yeah.
not like a documentary about his life or anything
No,
like that.
no. So the character, like he was an NBA champ. He tore his Achilles. He got sent down to the G League a year after he won the title. So he's trying to get back.
Okay.
And this whole time, he's like, while he's doing that, the incidents happen in the neighborhood. Because what happened is he's backing out of his driveway. A drunk lady hits him, and then all the neighbors come out because they're all fans of him. They know who he is. And then they start having this confrontation within, because one of the neighbor's daughters goes missing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So they're all
Okay.
trying to help find her.
And do you actually play? And it's basketball, right? And it's like that's what the character.
Yeah, so
like,
there's some moments you'll see we filmed where, because I actually play too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I played all through high school, so it was cool. Like, oh yeah, I could do
Yeah.
both of my dreams in one thing. So yeah, you'll see some film footages of him like in his prime days before he got hurt.
And is it actually like footage of the real?
It's of me playing.
Oh, it's of you playing.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Did
Yeah.
you have to like get archives of like previous things, or is it like
No.
new stuff that you guys filmed?
New stuff we filmed.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
How long is the shooting out here?
So from the 24th to the 30th.
Wow.
Yeah,
And this is a feature length film, right?
it is.
Is this your first feature length film?
No, so I've been acting since 2020, and then became working pretty regularly since 2022. So I do this most of the time.
Really?
Yeah,
And you're based out of Seattle.
I am.
I have no idea what the film industry looks. So I've been very interested in traveling to Seattle and stuff.
You should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been told very iffy things about Seattle.
So with Seattle, like we get rain 9 months out of the year, but our Seattle summers are like the best. Not scorching out, like hot out here. Like I know how hot it gets out here. Like we get, yeah, like no, we're like a good 80, 85 on a real good summer day, maybe 90.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, not too bad at all.
There's so much to do. Like Seattle's probably to me, out of all the places I've traveled to and lived, is the most diverse city.
Really?
Yeah, you have cultures of everywhere that come over here. Especially like Seattle too. Like that's where the tech industry is.
Yeah.
Google, Microsoft, Amazon. It's all based out there. So we get a lot of people from all over.
Is that where you're originally from?
I'm from Hawaii originally.
Hawaii?
Yeah.
Okay, so went from like south a little bit, way up north to Seattle, and then you kind of just travel
Just for work.
from there.
Mm-hmm.
So when you were first getting into acting, with acting, was it something that you've been wanting to chase for a really long time, or is it like just kind of it kind of fell into your lap a little bit?
Man, acting was never anything I ever wanted to do. It's crazy. No, seriously, man, it's crazy because like I was an athlete my whole life.
Yeah.
So I played basketball, and it was funny because like in high school, like you want to do drama? I'm like, I'm an athlete. I'm not gonna do drama.
Right.
To do that, and then during COVID, that's when I started. COVID hit, and I was already doing like commercial print modeling, and my agencies were like, try acting. Like, no, I'm good. Like that's not my thing. I don't want to talk in front of a camera.
Right.
That's crazy. Like, why would I do that for? And then, sitting in the house during COVID, nothing else to do. They asked me again. I'm like, all right, and you just try it out. I got nothing to lose. I can't leave my house anyway. So it's like, what I'm gonna do. So I started to like, look up monologues and trying to practice in the mirror. I spent like 3 hours a day in my bathroom just like doing monologues, and I used to record them and put on YouTube. So I have like one video a week.
Really?
Like during the whole quarantine time. I started doing that, and it was just like, wow, like I love this. Like I fell in love with the art of it, and it was just like it became addicting, like a drug, and it was like crazy. March 14th, 2020, I booked my first film during COVID.
Really?
Yeah, so I did this short film. I drove up to Portland. So Portland's 3 hours from Seattle. And I got on set for the first time. I was like, yeah,
it kind of just hooked you from there.
This is it. Yeah, like this is it. So, man, after that, it was just like I started trying to figure out how the industry works and the ins and outs of like, casting director, what they look for, what a headshots are supposed to be like, when you do self-tapes. And luckily, I came in during a time when self-tapes were becoming a real thing.
Yeah.
With COVID, it's like I've never been to it in person.
Still? Really?
I've never done it in person. So I studied how self-tapes, because like I know a lot of people were trying to adjust and figure that out. But so while they were trying to figure that out, I'd already figured it out.
Right.
So I was booking a lot off self-tapes, and like, man, I did my biggest movie I did when I first started. It's called Survivor's Choice. It's on Amazon Prime. I don't know if you know, he's been in a lot of stuff. Eric Roberts.
The name sounds familiar, but it's one of those situations I'd probably need to see the face.
Dark Knight Rises. He was like the old white guy with the glasses. He was like the mob guy. And like Grey's Anatomy. He's Julia Roberts' brother.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was in that with me, and man. After that, things kind of just like took off. I did this film called which one was it? I did this one film. I played a rapper in it, and I ended up winning best lead actor award in the Toronto Indie Film Festival.
Really?
Yeah. And then just fast forward, it's like, man, I don't know what it is about the arts. It's just like, it's addicting. Do you know, like, do you get the feeling of like when you really love something? It's just like,
oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's just like I never thought my passion would be something like this, and I think for me, it's like just the storytelling.
Oh, absolutely.
Like being able to like have an effect on people and make them feel a type of way. It's just like the best feeling.
I know. I had someone recently ask me about being in acting myself, and because it was a friend of mine. He's a mechanic. He has no desire for like the artistic, creative side or making a passion out of that. But he was kind of asking why I am in it, and I can either give you the half-assed short answer, just like, I mean, it's fun, or I can kind of go deep into it. And I'm like, that feeling when you go into a really, really good directed like action movie or drama or something, and the ones that are the tear jerkers, the ones that actually make you cry, the ones that actually give you these emotions. And I was talking to him, I'm like, I love going into one of those movies and having a certain feeling towards a character. Like, you look at a character and you can't stand him, you despise character. That's how you know that actor's doing a good job, is when you're looking at them and you're like, I want to DM them right now and tell them to go fuck themselves.
That's so funny you said that. So I got a story for that. And before, for the viewers, the film I was talking about where I won the Best Lead Actor Award, it's called It Takes Talent.
It Takes Talent.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but yeah, like for me, like, man, so in 2021, my very first big movie was called A Haunting in Ravenwood.
Okay.
It's a thriller suspense movie. So it's on Tubi, Amazon Prime, and Plex. So I played this character. He was really manipulative, just gaslighting his wife through the whole, just asshole through the whole movie. Man, I started getting DMs from women like, I wish you would treat me that way. Like all this, like, lady, I was like, but for me, she like wrote a whole paragraph. I'm just like, for me, I'm like, if I made you take time out of your day to DM me and write a whole paragraph about how I made you feel, I did my job.
So you actually had someone find you on Instagram and send you a DM and say like, I wish.
My mom. So it's crazy. So we had a theater premiere for it. My mom came to the premiere. After the movie, she's like, I can't look at you the same.
Honestly, I love that though, because that does mean that you were able to encapsulate the emotion of a character and the story of a character enough to captivate an audience to really believe a certain thing about this character.
The only thing that I struggled with that film was like, so we filmed for about 2.5, 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So we all stayed on location. I went to bed and woke up as that character. So when it came to the end of the film, like trying to disconnect from him was the hardest thing I've ever went through, because that was like my first big one. So I really like went like method almost with that role. And so when I was done, like I found myself at home still doing the same mannerisms and like stuff he was doing, and I'm like, fuck, I gotta break this. Like I need to do comedy or something to get away. So I struggle with that, because there was at one point where the director had to pull me to the side. He was like, "Are you okay?"
Really?
Yeah.
Dang. That is one of the hardest parts about this is, unlike a regular 9-to-5 or corporate or blue collar or white collar job, to where it's pretty like you don't have to put on a persona. You get to go there. You might have to put a persona around your coworkers and stuff to like act like you like them or whatever. But with this, your whole job is to take on a different persona. Your whole job is to take on different emotions, different things. Like it's to portray a life that's not actually yours.
You're just telling stories.
Exactly.
It's a different story every time.
And these characters, they are different people than who we naturally are. When you see a certain thing, like Heath Ledger, he was a fantastic actor and stuff, but he was also a very different person behind these. He wasn't naturally the Joker. He wasn't naturally that person as the Joker, but he had to put himself into that. And that's one of the hardest things that I tell people, like when they're like, oh, I want to be an actor, I want to be doing this, and I'm like, your emotional vulnerability level needs to be at its peak. You need to be able to reach in a part of you that you may not like.
For me, like when people tell they want to be an actor, and I'm like, why? I'm like, no, seriously, like you have to be out of your mind to want to do this. Like,
Well, they want the good stuff. They want the fame, the fortune.
But it's like if your body, like say, I always say, like if there's something else you think you might want to do, go do that.
Yeah.
Go do that. Because you have to be out of your mind to do this. Nothing is guaranteed in this industry. You don't know how many no's we hear throughout the year than most people will hear in their whole life.
Yeah.
We hear more in a year than most people will ever hear. Like
and
the rejection is like over and over.
Yeah.
You know?
And a lot of it's completely out of our control.
And you have to be able to take the rejection and move on to the next audition. And like another big thing too is like, you know, we book something, we have work for 2-3 months, and after that, fighting for the next one. I
know. Yeah, it's that constant almost fight of unemployment of like, okay, cool. Like even while you're on one project, you're still looking for another project afterwards. Sometimes you're on there like, cool. Well, I'm glad I have this. Sometimes if obviously if it's a good payout or if it's something like that, you might be able to take off some time and be like, cool, I'm going to work, take off a few months, and then get back to work. And if you're good enough, yeah, your agent or manager or whoever might be able to book you something immediately. But sometimes I've heard of some actors that it takes like a year after that first
sometimes
film.
It does.
And being unemployed for a year straight is one of the scariest things in the world.
I mean, the fact that even trying to be in this industry is a scary thing.
So I've been in acting for 3 or 4 years. I still haven't booked even a feature film yet.
Okay.
I'm curious about your process of going from zero. I don't know if you had a lot of kind of fame that you built up from your basketball career that kind of gave you a little bit of like a push, or maybe if it's because you were in Seattle.
It's the lessons I learned.
Yeah.
For me, it's like, man, I've been through a lot in my personal life, and I've had a hard time to express myself personally. But, you know, being able to do what we do has been my way to express myself and get these emotions out through these characters and telling these stories of what they're going through. Like, for my process, it's like, you know, finding what's different and the similarities into the characters of how you can really relate to. You know, all these characters, we all relate in some way.
Right.
So it's just, you know, finding those differences and trying to put everything together. For me, like, I don't know what your process is when you're prepping for a role or for a character. Like, how do you approach things?
For me, it really depends on the role. So I took on a role a few weeks ago in a short film of this burglar who, it wasn't just like a regular burglar. It was a burglar that was breaking into a old, I can't even say friend. It was this, the other character stole the girl that I wanted. And so I guess as kind of a fuck you, I break into their place and start doing whatever. I knew what place it was that I was breaking. It wasn't like a random hit. It was like I knew who I was breaking into. I wasn't trying to be inconspicuous. I wasn't like I was making I was making a lot of noise in the kitchen. I was not trying to hide the fact at all that I was there.
I was like, fuck it, yeah, I'm doing all this. Yeah,
I was like, you know what, you're gonna take my girl, go fuck yourself, type of thing. For that one, initially I didn't really prepare a whole lot, just because there wasn't a whole lot of lines, and I was like, honestly, this character doesn't really. There's not a whole lot of emotional arc, so there's not a whole lot of preparation. I did the most preparation for myself on set itself. Like, initially, I was like, okay, I need to be in a silly mindset. I need to bring out my dancing. I need to bring out whatever. But the second it did take that emotional arc of anger, one of the actors, she locked herself in one of the rooms because she had to get into a state of almost hatred. And then for me, I'm like, you know what? I need to do the same thing. I'm looking at this other character, and I fucking hate him. He stole my girl. I'm not just here to take their shit. I don't even give a shit about their shit here. I'm here because you stole the one girl that, like, I was going to take to prom in high school. And, yeah, we're in our 30s and stuff. But, I mean, maybe I have some screw loose in my head that I'm not going to let that go. And so I had to get into a state of, like, defiance and hatred all at once. And so I went into the room, and I was talking to myself, and I'm like, you're gonna fucking steal my girl? What? You're gonna fucking do this? I'm like, no, go fuck. And like, I was like doing all that.
Yeah.
People were walking in and out of the room and stuff, kind of looking at me like, what's this guy? I'm like,
on?
you want to see what an actor does? This is what an actor does. A
Yeah.
lot of times they have to take themselves away from the situation, hype themselves up, even when I'm working with my other friends for
You just got to be
rehearsing.
vulnerable.
Yeah.
You got to be vulnerable and present in the moment of things.
But even like when I came back from the set, the other guy, I don't think he really understood, or he wasn't expecting of what I was bringing to the table, because like we went for the first 6 hours that day without doing anything, and then we were doing those other things. This is an overnight shoot, so we started at 5 p.m., ended at like 1 or 2 a.m., and so I came back out. I was giving him the biggest death glare in the world. Not because I hated him as a person, but because I was like, my character hates your character, so I was going up to him, I'm like, fucking do this, and I was like kind of squaring up to him almost, and you can tell he had that look in his eye of like, oh shit, something is triggering him. And I was like, boom. And then that was the thing that kind of sucked though, because like I did that first take, and I'm like, fuck yeah. And then like, cool, we're gonna do it again. I'm like, bro, I was up here, I had to calm myself back down. Now and I had to do that like 6 times. And that's another thing, is the acting part. Is it's not like, even if you get it just right that first take, you might have to repeat it over a bunch of times.
Well, yeah, you say like you do a first take and you nail the first one.
Yeah.
Normally, like on the sets I go on to, it's like, okay, if we knock it out in the first take,
Yeah.
they'll give us a second take to have for fun.
Yeah.
And then the third take will just be coverage.
Yeah. They want safety.
Yeah.
In case for some reason they go
Yeah.
back and post and it's like, oh shoot, there's this thing in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you did an amazing job, or maybe the cinematographer it was out of focus for some reason.
And
so,
they can cut between those 3 takes and use
Exactly.
whatever they want to use for clips.
and then not only being able to do that, but then if there's close-ups or if there's different types of shots,
like over the shoulders or mids or whatever. Yeah.
That was I was listening to a podcast with Jake Gyllenhaal and Conor McGregor for their
Roadhouse?
Yeah, for Roadhouse. And Conor McGregor, he's not an actor. That was his first time ever being on a set. And he was even mentioning when he first got on set, he brought his A game. He was like, boom, boom, boom. And they're like, cool. Now we're going to go for a medium shot. And he's like, wait, what? Like, that wasn't it? And he's like, oh, no, that was the first take. That was a wide angle. So he was like, so no one even got to see, like, the stuff that was going on? They're like, no, that was a wide. Like, we have to now get the close-ups. And he was like, bro, I all new respect for actors now for doing that. And I was like, damn, yeah, no, it's 100% true.
Like, people don't understand why our set days are like 12, 13 hours.
I know.
You know?
So are you SAG?
No.
No?
I'm not going SAG until like I absolutely need to.
That's how it is when I have people asking me about that here, and I'm like, I'm trying. I don't want to go SAG until it can be like a national SAG type of thing, or it's in the market. Because if you're in Arizona and you go SAG, you're pretty much fucked.
Yeah, because you can't do any work.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're limited.
So-
You can't do anything. I love the indie world.
Yeah.
And I love the indie world because it's so much of just about the art.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and when you get to Hollywood, it's more of like, look how much money I got that we just wasted.
That was so you don't want to do Hollywood then?
I do. I mean, everyone wants to be on the big stage, Netflix
Right.
and big ones. I do, but I love. Like, I would never want to stop doing indie movies.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, as far as I know that you kind of went into a little bit of your process when you get a role, but from going from that zero of
Like when I first get the
maybe
scripts.
not even like landing the thing, like bring me through a little bit of your process of like setting in auditions. How do you book auditions? How do you kind of find out about projects, like when you were going from zero to where you're at now? Because I know that's the biggest thing for a lot of people that I know, including myself, in the acting industry, is they're like, how do I even find projects?
So for me, it was like just networking, because networking will put you in rooms more than degrees can.
Oh, absolutely.
So to speak, depending what it is. But for me, it was like I knew there was a local community of actors in Seattle. So
Really?
it was Facebook. Yeah, there's a Seattle probably has some of the most underlooked talent in the industry, and the reason for that, I'll get back into the process.
Yeah.
But the reason for that is because we don't have a tax break, so all the money for filmmaking funds it's a tech city. So Amazon, Google, Microsoft, that's where all the money goes to. So it's
Right.
more of like industrial type commercials and stuff like that. But yeah, there's a lot of great talent out there. So for me, it's like I knew there was a Facebook group, so I joined the Facebook groups and was just like, I'm a new actor.
Yeah.
If I can just get on set in any way. And it sucked because during COVID, there wasn't really much of that going on.
Right.
So it was like probably more towards 2021 when I started going to like little, they would do like networking events for actors.
Okay.
So I would go to like networking events, and I met some of the greatest filmmakers who I still connect with, and that's kind of how I book now. So I'm part of there's a production company out there called CCC Entertainment. They run their own production company, and we did like a Michael Myers fan film last year.
Oh, wow.
So we did a fan film last year, which hit. It was like I want to say we hit over 100,000 views somewhere within like the first couple months.
Really?
And then so that started to bring traction because this group they love horror. Seattle does a lot of horror films, and so we created this thing called the Horrorverse. So think of the multiverse for Marvel.
Yeah.
So with this, it was like we did a Michael Myers meets Jason, who ends up meeting Freddy.
Okay.
So like in the first one we did, at the end of the movie, Michael Myers is driving off into Crystal Lake. And the character I play, his name is Miller. He's a Yale student who is dealing drugs at Crystal Meth. And then there's a whole drug war that breaks out at Camp Crystal Lake because of what he's selling. So he's like this dude who's just looking out for himself, trying to get this money, and his friends are dying. And I don't know if you know actor Robert Lizardo.
I know the name. Another
You
one of
know
those
the name,
things.
but he's in our series too as well.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah,
Okay.
so you definitely got to check that out. You get a
Yeah.
chance, yeah. But yeah, so I got connected with them, and then it was like just using social media for the tool it is.
So you would meet these people at these network events and then just DM them or something?
And then we just built like a friendship relationship. Like the community in Seattle is not that big, so
Yeah.
we're all really close. So it's more of like everyone knows each other in some way.
Yeah.
And I started to get on a lot of sets in Seattle, and it was like more people were like hearing about my name more on sets, and like.
Okay.
And then it's more of like them reaching out to me and then doing their project, and then I ended up doing a lot. And it's crazy, man. I fast forward. I did a Conjuring movie. I connected with this producer in Portland. His name's Calvin McCarthy. He was the director for the Haunting in Ravenwood movie I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I did that first big movie with him, and then we did a Conjuring movie last year. So like I have this director. Anytime a big movie comes, calls me and brings me back on set.
Yeah.
So they're like my film family. So it's just like networking with everyone and anyone I could, just
Yeah.
promoting my work much as I can. And yeah, man, that's just really the process of how like I got from zero to now. It's just networking and just constantly looking for work. Like you can't wait.
It's kind of funny that you mentioned that too, because a lot of times artists like us, they tend to be a little bit more introverted because
They
we're
don't
so
like
much
they
in
don't
our-
like to do the social media
No,
thing.
they in like networking, it's such an extroverted type of thing to be able to, because there's networking events here in Arizona. I've gone to a few of them, but it's just that initial step. Like, it's one thing to go to these events, but it's another thing to actually take advantage. There's actually this network that I'm launching right now for actors and stuff, and I had to take that into account of like, okay, what is something that is missing here? And it's like, the actual platform to network isn't missing. We already have that, but it's the fact that, and it's nothing bad about the community or anything here. I love the communities here.
Right.
But like when you go there, a lot of times there's no agenda. And so when you go there, you're following your natural intuition, which is to find people you already know, find people you already connect with, maybe go with friends, and then just do that. There's no actual inclination to go meet new people. And it's scary. A lot of times it's terrifying.
It is, but that's what I was saying before. Like, you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Exactly, yeah.
That's how you grow. And, like, if you don't, I mean, you're going to just still be in the same, you're not running it, you're not going anywhere.
Exactly.
So those connections are heavy, and it's very important. Like, I tell people, I think the most important thing in this industry you have to do is network and social media.
Yes, and unfortunately, like, I've been trying to master the art of social media for a little while, and it is so much of a pain in the ass.
It's another job.
Yes.
And you got to be
100%.
consistent with it.
Yes, and especially me, I have 3 different social media accounts I have to do. I have the podcast, I have my personal,
Right.
and then now I have the new network of doing that, and it's so difficult to not only post consistently, but figure out what to post that would actually garner attention.
You got to test the waters and see what
Yeah.
your audience gravitates to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I know you said there was a little bit of a community in Seattle. Obviously, we're not in Seattle now.
Yeah.
So is this your full-time job, acting?
So I bartend on the side a couple of
Gotcha.
times a week, but for the most part, like, this is what I'm
Okay.
mostly doing. Yeah.
Okay, so it's one of those things to where like bartending or serving or something.
So
to pay the
I
bills.
just strictly bartend, and then it's like when I have to leave town.
Really?
Cool. Yeah. All right. See you when you get back.
Are you on your own 100%, or
Yeah.
do you live with family when you're back home?
No.
No?
Yeah,
Okay,
my own place. Yeah.
those were the other couple of things that not only I deal with, but I know a lot of other people deal with is a lot of times when you're working these 9 to 5s, like even when I first got signed to my agent, one of the first things that she was saying is like, what is your day job? And I'm like, well, I'm in finance. And she's like, that doesn't sound like it offers a lot of flexibility in the schedule. And I'm like, I mean, it depends what you mean. Like, if I call you tomorrow and I say I need you on set in the next day, are you going to be able to do it? And I'm like, she's like, that's the thing. I had to quit that job, and that was one of the scariest things that I've ever done. But it's one of those things to where you'll figure it out. Obviously, for me, I'm in a different situation. I'm not married. I have no kids. It's just me. And so I don't need to make $50,000 a year to take care of a family. I'm like, if I can at least pay these, that's good. So I'll do things like I've been doing gig work for the last little bit because it's flexible, like Amazon Flex, Uber Eats, DoorDash, Uber, doing those things. And while they're not glamorous, and maybe they don't even pay that well, but for me, I'm like, that flexibility is the number one thing that I need.
Hey, man, money's money.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
What was your first project out of state? And what was it like to kind of be able to travel for the first time for doing something like this?
My first big one was called Amends of the Father.
Okay.
So I flew out to Florida to do this film.
Wow. Okay, all the way across.
I went to West Palm Beach. Man, that was the craziest thing ever. Like, and I auditioned for this film for 8 months. So it's a crazy process. It was like a micro budget SAG film.
Mm-hmm.
So I auditioned for one role. I did 3 self-tapes, and between the 3, it was about 2 months.
Gotcha.
And then after that, like another month and a half goes by, I hear nothing. And then the director gets back to me a month later, hey, we decided to go another direction. I didn't take that as a no. I was like, hey, let me audition for this role. So I auditioned for So I auditioned for another role. So that process was another 2 months. And then he had me do a read with him and then send another. So we did a Zoom read, then another self-tape, then another Zoom read. And then I finally booked the one after the last one. So that was about 5 months. And so I get to West Palm, man. So I worked with this director, his name's Steven Sorrentino. They put me in an Airbnb. It was a 10,000 square foot Airbnb. is also the location that we shot at. I can send you some pictures of it later so you can see what it looks like.
Yeah.
But man, it had its own theater. Like they had people take me around to like do whatever I wanted to do. Like,
You had this place all to yourself?
it was me and then the producer, and that was it.
Really?
Because everyone else were locals. So, man, like when I say I was like, I'm on the plane going there, and then when they picked me up from the airport, I'm like, there's no way this is real. Like, is this shit happening right now? Like, this is crazy.
And
like, oh.
did you have to pay for the Airbnb, or
No.
Did you?
I didn't, nothing. I paid nothing.
Really?
Paid for my flight, paid for my food while I was there. They paid me for the project. They took me out to wherever I wanted to go. I'm like, this shit is nuts. Like, what the fuck? Like, I'm actually doing this right now.
Did you have kind of like imposter syndrome when you were doing that?
What do you mean?
Kind of like it's maybe not supposed to be happening to you. Like you
Oh.
feel like an imposter, like going.
I'm like, yeah, I was like, yo, there's no way this shit is real right now. Like, am I supposed to be here? Like, this is crazy. Like, are you guys sure you picked me for this? Because, like, whoa. The first time, man, it was like a dream. I was like, and that gave me even more of hunger. Because after that, I was just like, yeah, I'm not doing anything else for the rest of my life. Flights are paid for. All I have to do is show up.
Yeah.
Man, it doesn't get no better than that.
Dang. Because I haven't even like I've kind of traveled a little bit, but it's mostly just like an out of the city thing. And like when I tell people I'm an actor, one of the biggest things that kind of bothers me is the first thing is, what have you been in that I've seen? And I'm like, unless you go to film festivals, you've probably not seen me in anything. But, and I hate saying that because I'm like, that also doesn't discount me as an actor, though.
It doesn't. Yeah, that question used to annoy me too. And now when people ask me, like, I don't know, have you?
Yeah. Well, because they're like, oh, what all have you been in? And I'm like, I've been in like more films than I can even count, but none of them are huge blockbuster hits. I'm like, and then that's when I want to go into the statistics. I'm like, did you know that in the union, less than 15% of the actors make over $15,000 a year? That means,
well, just from the films. Obviously,
Yeah.
they have other where they're making all their other money from.
but like that would mean that like these films that are like, because the big blockbuster hits, the big feature films, most of the time they pay a few $1,000s at least minimum for doing these things. But that would mean, I'm like, if I wouldn't be talking to you in this situation right now if you had seen me in something that was big enough to do that, because that would mean that I'm in the top 5% of the actors in the union. That's not even in the union. That's filtering all that down to just actors in the union. I'm like, the statistics are so low for that to where I'm like, yeah, I'm an actor, but no, you probably haven't seen me in anything. But that's also not to say that I'm just some bullshit actor. Like,
there's so many famous actors or well-known actors that people have never seen.
No.
But they've been working forever.
Exactly. Yeah. For you, when you tell people you're an actor, at least even like before you got like the feature films and stuff, like I know when I tell people, they kind of have a certain reaction. It was like, oh, another one of these, or like, don't quit your day job, honey, like type of stuff. How do you kind of deal with like reactions like that?
It just depends, because in Seattle, I've built a name for myself.
Okay.
So most people know out there like what I do. So I've been, I guess you could say, I've been blessed in a way to been surrounded around the right people at right time, to where like every project I've done has either been like Apple TV or like Tubi or Amazon Prime or wherever. For ones who don't, honestly, I don't talk about it. For me, it's like, if you know I'm an actor, people, you know. If you don't, you don't. I just don't talk. I don't know. I don't feel like there's a reason for me to bring up, hey, I'm an actor. Like,
yeah, I just have that because sometimes, especially going to different networking events or just meeting new people, a lot of times, like, what do you do?
If it's something like that, like a networking event or something like that, or if it's just like a casual type people, I'm like, I just don't bring it up.
So what do you say when they ask you what you do?
I'm an entrepreneur.
Okay. I know a lot of people, because I was actually talking to a buddy of mine last week about this. There's an entrepreneur and then there's a wantrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that whole wantrepreneur thing growing so much, of everyone saying that they want to be entrepreneurs and stuff, which is one of the reasons I actually have this podcast, to be able to show the dirty side of this entrepreneurial life. They're like, oh, well, what do you do as an entrepreneur? Because a lot of people are like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur, but I don't have anything yet. I just want to be an entrepreneur. For you, how do you combat that when they ask you?
Like, what do I do?
Yeah, like when they're like, well, what do you mean you're an entrepreneur? Like, what do you do as an entrepreneur? Is that when you kind of say like you're an actor?
And it's like, okay. I'm like, yeah, I'm in TV and film.
Okay, that's actually I like that answer because they're like, oh wow, okay.
Yeah, I think it's more of a versus like, oh, I'm an actor. Like the reaction's different. Like I'm in TV and film.
I need to steal that. I'm gonna steal that
use
from
it,
you.
use it. Yeah,
like,
it's a good
I'm
one.
in TV and film.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. That's just like the whole rabbit hole. Because like even when I'm doing Uber or something, people be like, "Oh, what do you do on the side?" And I'm like, "I'm an actor," and they're like, "Oh, like," and then they get into like, I understand where it comes from. Like, "Oh, one day I'm gonna be able to see you on TV." And be like, that was my Uber driver, and I'm like, yeah.
Man, it's crazy. Like, so I did this commercial back in 2021. It airs locally all over TV in Seattle. Like they play it during like Root Sports. I don't know if you know what Root Sports is. It might just be a PNW thing. It's a sports channel for like hockey and stuff. It plays during like the halftime show for the hockey shows. So my mom wakes up like every morning at 5:30. She's like, "Your commercial." I'm like, I still to this day, I'm like, that's so crazy. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
So you've been in a handful of different films. I have to ask about different times on sets because I know that I've had some times on sets that I'm like, it was like leaving a family. Other times where I'm like, I'm counting down the seconds to where I'm off the set. I want to know about some of the best and worst times of your experience on sets.
Honestly, bro, I've not had a bad experience.
Really?
I've been lucky in that way because I have a lot of my actor friends like, man, I was on this set. Like, man, fuck that set, whatever. Like, no, I've been blessed enough to every set I've been to has been a beautiful experience from cast to crew. I have two separate production companies that I do films with. One's called 7th Street Productions. They're based out of Portland. I did The Conjuring with them. Haunting in Ravenwood. We did this 80s slasher film, which is cool. Pillow Party Massacre. Okay. Yeah, you check that out. It was cool. I played an actual character and I played the stunt killer in the costume. So,
really?
Yeah, so that was dope to do. And then Seattle, the CCC Entertainment, we have our series right now with the Horrorverse. Yeah, man, it's like every time I leave set, I'm like, damn, it's over. Yeah, I've been lucky. I've not had, knock on wood, I hope I don't, but yeah, I've never had a bad experience.
What kind of movie do you want to do? Like
well,
if your manager or agent were to call you tomorrow and offer you a role in like a specific movie or something.
I don't know about movie, but genre, like, so I've done like a lot of horror and just played like these either asshole douchebag or like fucking psychopath character. But I've always been drawn of want to do drama and romance.
Really?
Yeah.
Drama and romance.
Yeah.
Okay. Got a little bit of Ryan Gosling over here.
Yeah, man. I play. Bro, I've just done too much of the asshole narcissist type ones. Like, can I be nice for once? I'm tired of being an asshole sometimes. I play it really well though, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like.
It's funny too, because it's a lot of those times it's those people that play those characters. They're exact opposite off the screen. They're like, I was expecting you to be a lot more of a dick in person. It's like, no, I just have to play that. I just so happen to know how to play those.
They are
well.
fun though. Like,
yeah,
it's so fun playing the asshole because there's no like nothing wrong you can do.
Yeah, you basically get a free pass to be an asshole without actually being known as an asshole.
Yeah.
So it's like a free pass.
Yeah. What about you?
I love action. I just recently did a little bit of fight choreography training.
I can see that. Yeah.
I would love something with like martial arts. I love stuff with like driving stunts. I've been an action junkie my whole life. I love doing that kind of stuff to work because it's like it puts me more to work. It's not just like a line that I have to memorize. It's like I have to memorize maybe a choreography scene. I have to memorize how to do this. There's a lot more people to collaborate with.
You want to be like a Tom Cruise tying yourself to a plane?
Yeah.
You know, jumping off a cliff.
Yeah, exactly.
It's nuts.
I would love to do stuff like that. I've done a couple of action things, and they were so much fun to just, okay, we're going to do this. And like, it's just more people to collaborate with, too, because it's not just the other actors you have to collaborate with. It's stunt coordinators. It's fight choreographers. It's safety crews. It's...
Well, you know, when you do your own stunts, you get paid more, too.
Yeah.
When you do your own. So.
Which... I mean, I would love to do like a Tom Holland Spider-Man type of thing to where it's like...
See, my dream was to play Miles Morales.
Really?
Yeah, I've always wanted to play Miles Morales. Or, I'm putting this out there, if Tiger Woods has a biopic, I wanted to do a Tiger Woods biopic too.
I could see that.
Yeah, I'm like,
okay.
Let me play a young Tiger. I golf too, so...
I was actually an extra in this other film a few months ago, and the main guy in it is the voice of Miles Morales in Spider-Verse. And so I got to talk to him and stuff. It was one of those things to where I'm like, I'm not going to ruin this opportunity. So I It was really funny. So I was an extra on it, and I went to go use the restroom, and I was walking by. I didn't recognize that it was him, and so I kind of was like, "Hey, is the restroom over here?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I come back, and I'm like, "Was that him?"
That voice sounds very familiar.
Okay. And then later on in the day, I found out that was him, and I'm like, "Oh fuck! Okay, well I got to figure out a way to get my opportunity again to talk to him." And then it was like during our lunch break, he was in the bathroom changing, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to talk to him. He actually said he was interested in being on the podcast, but I got his Instagram and stuff, and I was even a little bit hesitant about doing that because I'm like, you have 100,000 followers or whatever on Instagram. I'm like, if you get a random DM from a random thing.
Bro, you never know.
I messaged him a few times, haven't heard back, but
know.
maybe he'll look back and be like, sorry, I was working on film after film, and I only just got.
Never know, man. Never
So,
know.
I'm putting it out there. It'd be really cool. It was Jarrell Jerome. That's who it was, and so I'm still trying to see about getting him on, because that'd be really fun to have him on. So as an artist, I know that burnout is a huge thing to be susceptible of. Have you dealt with burnout as an actor?
So I went on like a good like year and a half of just like project after project, go.
Mm-hmm.
I had my burnout probably a good like 3 months ago.
Really?
Yeah.
How'd you deal with it?
It was horrible. It's fucking horrible. I'm like, this shit sucks. Like, my mom's like, you gotta like relax. You're always on the go. You're doing too much. And I'm like, yeah, let me like breathe. Like, I had a crash, bro. It was bad. I had like a bad crash. I was like,
what did it look like for you?
It was to the point where it was just like, it was driving me insane. Like, I was just like, I had a breakdown. I'm like, I had a huge breakdown at home. I was like, I needed that.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was like, I needed it. Yeah, truthfully, yeah, like, I needed that. Man, because, like, I know people are so, like, scared to talk about stuff like this. Like, it's real, man. Like, especially as an artist, like,
yeah.
bro, the pressures that we go through, like, of, like, you know, for me, it was like that breakdown was caused with me, like, not being appreciative of, like, what I have right now and worrying about my 5-year plan ahead.
Is acting the only thing that you do as far as like a career chase? Or
Yep.
Okay.
That's it.
So that was the difference that with at least you and me so far.
Yeah, me was like I put all my
Yeah.
eggs into one basket. I'm like, my plan B is plan A.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing else.
Which, I mean, I was in a similar thing when I first started. I've always been a pedal to the metal person. I've always been like, if I'm going to do this, I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah,
I'm
literally.
only focusing on that. But then picking up the podcast, I'm like, well, I would love to have it be like the podcast is the day job type of thing, and then I go out and do projects, because obviously you don't get to book projects every day. You don't get to be on set every single day and stuff. It's not like a regular, unless you book like a network TV show.
Yeah, you're working for 6 months or whatever.
Exactly. So I was like, I would love to have kind of a job outside of my job, which that was the whole thing with the podcast, but that's a whole nother endeavor to put pedal to the metal.
Right.
And there was always that thing with like either putting your eggs all in one basket or spreading them out. And while I think that putting your eggs all in one basket can be scary and it can be very iffy sometimes.
Oh, 100% it
Yeah.
is. Yeah, but you know, no risk, no reward.
Exactly.
You know?
And that was kind of like you were saying, your plan B is your plan A. And I have, like with this podcast, it's not necessarily my plan B. It's just my work outside of my work.
Yeah, it's just an attachment to what you're already doing.
But I'm still one human with one source of energy, and so having to do that, and then that's when I start seeing this start to retract and energy from this starting to retract and stuff, and so I'm like double vulnerable to burnout. So, and that's the thing that a lot of people don't really express too much. The amount of actors that I've heard that have dealt with that burnout.
Here's my thing about the burnout. You know what? Like, there's no reason to rush to get to somewhere that you're already headed to. So just enjoy where you're at now, because you're going to be there. The stars are already written. So why rush the process? And I think a lot of us actors or just entertainers, artists, like, we forget to enjoy the present moment of what we have, because it's so much like you book something that momentum's going, you're just like, boom, 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 I got to keep going while the momentum's here, and then you become so obsessive with it that you forget everything else around you.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately what caused my crash. It was like I was so obsessive over it. Like I'm not doing anything else. Literally, I've cut everything else outside of me that had nothing to do with this, and was just like boom, boom, boom.
I think there's two different kinds of burnouts that people don't understand. There is exhaustion burnout, to where you're just going for so long that you physically are just exhausted. But then there's also progression burnout, which is kind of where I hit, to where it's like you're so used to seeing a certain level of progression from whatever you're doing.
And then when it stops,
that the second that it starts going down a little bit, you're like, great, I'm a fucking failure now.
And then you start getting all these thoughts in your head, and that's
where like the imposter syndrome comes from. With like, cool, like, well, why was I able to book job after job for the first 6 months, but it's been a year and a half and I haven't booked anything? Am I just a fucking failure at that point?
See, I used to think that way too. Like probably 2 years in. How long have you been doing it now? You said.
I'd say I've been an actor for 3 years, I think.
Okay, so for me it was like 2022. I was already 2 years in.
Yeah.
I used to struggle and go through that too. And then, it got to a point, like, when I was in between projects, I was talking with another actor who's kind of like a mentor. Like, you just, like I was saying before, you just have to be grateful and be in the present and enjoy the journey. Because, the journey is the best part.
Right.
Booking the job is just the icing on the cake, but because you're gonna look back when you get to where you're going to get to, like, man, I went through all this shit.
So how long from when you started was it that you really started seeing things start picking up for you, as far as like booking feature films or doing all that?
2022.
So it had been about 2 years since you.
Yeah, like it was like, so I did a Conjuring movie. When that movie came out, we hit about 8 million views in the first 8 months. It dropped. After that, it was like I did the slasher film, and then I went to Denver and did a film, and then all of a sudden I got a call. Early 2023, there's this company called Soul Cafe Awards. It's like the Oscars, but it's like the indie version, smaller, right? It's the smaller version. They had called me. I'd got nominated for Actor of the Year, and ended up winning July 6, 2023. I won Actor of the Year. Was nominated with a bunch of other talented people in the PNW. So it was crazy, man. Like it got published in like the newspapers all over, like in the PNW. Yeah, like. They sent me a plaque.
Damn.
Yeah, they sent me a big old plaque, like sent it in the mail, like here. Like, man, it's wild. It was cool because like my mom got to be there, and like when they were taking pictures, my mom was in one of the pictures with me that got put on the plaque that they sent me.
Yeah.
So I was like, I got to share that moment with her.
We were talking earlier about giving yourself grace, and that. What is that?
It's an ice cream truck.
Oh, ice cream truck's here. I was like, is there someone at the door? With giving yourself grace, that has been a big thing that I've struggled with, but I kind of figured through a lot of therapy and stuff that it's because I am such a pedal to the metal person that like I'm afraid for myself when I give myself too much grace, that's what's going to stop the momentum, because you kind of sit there and be like, oh yeah, no, I'm good. Like I've been doing a lot of good stuff, but then there's the other side of the coin to where if you don't give yourself grace, there's that like I'm a failure type of talk.
You know how they say 15 minutes of fame?
Mm-hmm.
I literally give myself about 15 minutes and I move on.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'll give myself, good job. We worked for this. Cool. Keep working. You don't want to sit. You don't want to sit in that grace for too long.
So how do you then keep with that, but not? I guess I'm trying to figure out how I want to phrase this.
For me, it's like I'm very big on manifestation. I'm very big, very, very big on it. I've been writing out my goals and everything I wanted to do since I've started, and I have a checklist. So like I have a whole game plan of like, within 5 years, 10, 15, 20, 25, and then little things in between to get to those milestones. So it's like, okay, check that off. I'm blessed. We worked hard for this. On to the next.
So I know you said you kind of give yourself those 15 minutes. Do you ever have to kind of stop and just be like, you know what, and kind of look back at your progress to kind of keep yourself going a little bit because of the fact you only give yourself those 15 minutes of grace and that 15 minutes of fame?
Like I look back at like what I had to do to get to this point.
Yeah.
I'm like, it was all worth it.
Yeah. Because that was one of the big things I struggle with. A lot of times I'll have to think back and be like, I'm not a failure as an actor. I've been in XYZ films. I've talked to these people. I've done this. Like, I'll have to talk myself out of that thing because like I haven't been on a real set in I don't know how long, and so I'll always battle those feelings of like, am I a real actor? Am I actually?
Are you
doing this?
auditioning?
Not as much as I.
But
probably should.
are you auditioning?
It's hard for me to. I don't do as many, but yes.
But you are auditioning.
Like within the last couple months, yes, I've done.
Then you are a working actor.
Yeah.
If you're auditioning, you're a working actor.
Yeah.
That's our job, is to audition.
Right.
So you are working.
I've always just had that issue though with grace, and so when you were bringing that up earlier, I'm like, that's literally been like the biggest conviction to myself is because of how entrepreneurial minded I am, and because of the whole grind set mentality that everyone has these days. It's like cool. It's like so many of the most successful people don't give themselves grace because they know that if they give themselves too much grace, that's where the laziness kicks in. But there's also that other.
It's just the mindset of staying on track.
Yeah. I
don't change your mindset.
Yeah.
You keep your mindset and keep going. Give yourself grace, yes, but keep it moving.
Yeah. So kind of getting a little bit more into personal life type of stuff. Are you in a relationship right now?
Nope.
No. Is it because of how sporadic everything is with acting, or is it just because you don't?
No, I was. I have three kids.
Do you really?
Yeah, I got 3 boys. Yeah, my oldest actually did a movie with me about last year.
How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
31.
Really?
Yeah, I know,
Oh,
I know,
shit.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were like early 20s
I
or
know.
something. But hey, that's a big compliment.
Yeah.
3 kids.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, man.
Okay. And do they just live in Seattle while you're out here doing this?
Yeah. So they live with their mom full time, and then with me on the weekends.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it kind of tough to deal with all that on the side too?
No.
No.
Man, you have to. If you ever have kids, like mine are wild. So being able to have that, like, my oldest is 8 now, so it's like I'm used to this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do your kids know about like your acting and stuff?
Yeah, my oldest has been around it. They've all been around it since they were born. My son did a movie with me. I mean, he's been around the industry since he was 4 years old, like, so he knows.
Do you think that he doesn't want to be an actor?
Kids they never really know. He goes, I want to be a firefighter. I want to make movies. I want to be a cop. I want to, it always changes. But ultimately, I think he end up well because he likes to be on set and stuff around me. So.
Would you want him to follow your footsteps?
I'd want him to do whatever he wants to do.
Okay. So there's no like pressure from you to like, like you should.
Oh, when he wanted to do the movie, that was his choice. I never even asked him. He was like, "Can I do a movie like you?"
Really?
I'm like, yeah. I'm like, okay.
That's good because I know that a lot of times, a lot of parents, especially in the entertainment industry, they'll try to push a little bit more towards doing that, or they'll try to push against it. I found a lot of times, more often than not, actually, the parents try to push against it because they know all the bullshit that you have to go through.
Not just that, but there's a lot more into it. But like the money for classes and headshots and traveling, have to take off for work, and you know what I mean, like dealing with all that stuff. Yeah, it's like acting's not for everyone.
So you don't at all try to focus on like dating or women or anything like that?
If it happens, it happens. But no, like right now, like I tell most, I'm career focused.
Yeah. Yeah,
like that's mine.
I know that when I was, because I've been in relationships while being an actor, and I know that it's so much more difficult when you're an actor because of the different things you might have to do. Like, I remember I was telling one ex, I'm like, I'm not going to say no to a movie just because there's a kissing scene. I want you to trust me enough.
That part.
Yes, that was one of the hardest things, like.
Which is why now I see why a lot of actors and actresses marry each other.
Yes, because that's the thing, is they understand. They understand that, like, I'm not kissing them because I'm attracted to them. I'm kissing them because this is the storyline, and this is work for me. And I know that, like, that kind of goes into the whole thing with, like, oh, would you let your girlfriend be on OnlyFans and stuff? Or would you let this because it's technically work? And there's those arguments, but I'm like.
I just say, like, man, look at, like, Denzel and his wife. They've been married for 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
Lorenz Tate and his wife, Morris Chestnut, those guys, Ryan Gosling, those guys, they've all been married, and, like, they're all married, and their partners know why, because, well, not even Denzel's wife, she's not even an actress, but still, it's like, look, it's work.
But that's just, like, where the trust in the relationship has to come from, the fact that, like, having to sit down, because it's not just like a regular dating pool. It's not just being able to go on Tinder or something, finding a girl, and hey, we're going to be dating. I'm going to be working. We're going to live this nice little blue-collar life and do all this. It's like, well, if things go to plan, here's how I predict it's going to go. If I get a movie, I'm going to be gone for 6 to 7 months. You're welcome to come visit, and I'm happy to fly you out or something, but I'm not going to be present as a father or as a husband during those times because I'm going to be on set for about 20 to whatever hours a day doing this. When I'm not working, I'm going to be here 24/7. So it's not just like I'm gone and then for the day and then come back. So there's going to be really weird scheduling things.
Yeah, it's a tough thing, man.
And then there's also the public eye. The fact that like, oh, I have a red carpet premiere. And then having to either balance, like that was one of the things with one of the exes is they're like, if you have a red carpet thing, I'm not really a huge public eye person, so you'll have to go it alone. I'm like,
That's okay.
I'm like, yeah, I mean, yeah, but at the same time, like, I would want you to be there for support or something, and kind of like dealing with that a little bit. So it's
But
like,
it's kind of normal. Even like in Hollywood, a lot of the wives like don't even go to the red
Yeah.
carpets. Like it's a normal thing. Not everyone likes to be in front of a camera.
exactly.
Not everyone's comfortable with their pictures being out there like that, I guess, you know?
But being in a relationship with that person who is in the public eye, even if you don't want to be in the public eye, eventually the relationship somehow, especially like if you're one of the heartthrobs of Hollywood, you're going to have investigators trying to find every little thing about you. So what used to be a private life may not be as private anymore.
I mean, his marriage has been private for over 40 years.
Yeah.
There's like the old school Hollywood actors like Lorenz Tate, like a lot of the bigger names who have been married for 25 plus years. You don't hear anything about their
I will
theirs.
say to combat that, though,
Okay.
is the fact that when they were coming up and they were first blowing up, there was no social media. There was nothing like that. Versus today, if there's like Timothy Chalamet or something,
Mm-hmm.
his career has been blowing up since social media has been, which is why his
Which
relationships have been so much more public. Tom Holland, Zendaya, all those people that are like the younger generation to where their careers are more launching when social media is becoming a bigger thing, naturally, because of all the publicists.
People are
and
just
stuff.
so nosy, man.
Yeah, like Denzel, yes, he can stay out of
People
it
are so nosy.
because he's already been.
Yeah,
in the
Denzel's
public eye.
Denzel.
Yeah, he's one of those like. He doesn't have to worry too much about social media. People knew his name before social media was a thing, and so it's not like trying to create something. Obviously, for him, the only thing he has to do is stay out of controversy, not do any stupid shit in public or not do stupid posts or something. But for him, you can tell that it's just mostly just
Denzel is Denzel.
Yeah.
He's in a lane of his own, so.
exactly.
Yeah.
But for those younger actors, I definitely try to tell them, or even in just relationships, it's just one of those things where this is a possibility. So I want you to know that being with me, it's not going to be like being with Chad from the football team down the street that's a lawyer now. Like, there is going to be different stuff possibly to deal with.
The biggest thing when it comes to this is they don't understand the sacrifice
Mm-hmm.
and the struggles, and one day you're working, one day you're not. So like all that glamorous stuff comes eventually at some point, but right now it's at the process of trying to get there. And while we're getting there, it's the struggle part, and a lot of women, not all, I'm not going to say all, but not all, but a lot don't want to be there for the struggle.
Yeah.
They want the red carpet right
They
away.
want the fruits of the labor, but they don't want to.
Yeah, they don't want to be in the trenches with us working and trying to get there. They want to fast forward to the good stuff. There is some that is down for it. There are some who are down for the ride or die, which are rare breeds, but they are there. But yeah, man, that's the biggest thing. I don't think the issue of like, having to go fly out and do movies or whatever. I think that it's where the struggle is, where it's real.
Oh yeah.
It's the stuff that people don't see. They don't see the long hours and sacrifices. They don't see the rejections over and over. They don't see all the things that we have to do to get there.
Well, and kind of bouncing back to what we were mentioning before, I know that things like this have strained a lot of relationships, but the fact that like if you're playing a certain role that your wife or whatever isn't going to like the kind of person you have to be for this role, being able to separate that, being able to separate your work from home life. Like we are humans, and so if we're on set for 13 hours portraying a certain thing, it's not going to be usually an immediate thing to where you go home and you're back to yourself. So it's that flexibility to be able to work with your partner on like, okay, well, I landed this role. They have a very maybe misogynistic point of view, or they're this type of person, something that I'm not normally, but like having that communication to be able to be like, "Well, when I come home, I might not be as lovey, I might not be as touchy, I might not be as this because I'm not in the right mindset to be with you. I'm not in the right mindset to kind of be in a partnership. I have to finish out this role and then kind of get myself out of it." But so there, like you said, there's a lot of sacrifice when it comes to
And like you said,
balancing that.
communication
Yeah.
is the biggest thing.
Absolutely.
But anyone who knows if you're with an actor has to know, like, I'm gonna play these roles.
Yeah.
I can't limit myself in my art.
Yeah, absolutely. So what does your day-to-day life kind of look like? Maybe routines or something like how do you keep structure in your life to be able to pursue acting as full-time as you do while balancing kids and balancing work and everything?
For like a daily for me, it's like I wake up. Like I said, my kids live with their mom full time. I have them on weekends. I listen to my motivational speeches. I go on runs. I make sure I'm on Actors Access. I'm always looking for work. I spend about an hour a day looking for projects to see if I can find anything. If my agents or managers don't send me stuff, in between time, I'm usually just looking. My routine's pretty consistent. Like I honestly don't do much. I'm pretty just like the same thing, motivational speeches in the morning. I study up on scripts if I have any. I'm looking for projects. I go bartend 3 days a week, come home, look for more projects, next day repeat.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What time are you usually waking up in the mornings?
I wake up at 8 o'clock every morning.
8 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
That's not too bad. That's actually kind of been the time that I've been trying to wake up. Cause
You get so much more done, man.
yeah, I've been trying, like, I would love to be like a 6 a.m. type of person to get more done, but I naturally became very much a night owl over the course of high school and then getting out of high school and stuff. And I've tried to force myself to like get up, but my creativity doesn't spark until later in the day.
Yeah, mine starts about like, actually sometimes like I'll be laying in bed and like something hits my head. I'm like, oh, let me go do this. Like I make content too for TikTok. I finally started getting paid for my reels on Instagram and Facebook now. So I'm like, so now I'm working on my TikTok content. I don't got a lot of followers or anything there yet, but working on it. Yeah.
What kind of content do you make on those?
So I do like, I reenact movie scenes. I'll take like movie scenes or like TV shows and like just reenact stuff. Yeah.
And you're starting to get, is the pay from that pretty good?
It depends. Like the most I got paid for one was like $85.
That's not bad.
It's not bad though, you know. Like just for making like a 30-second video that I was gonna make anyway. Like I was gonna make this regardless. So yeah. So I'm like, it's cool. Like sometimes like, shoot, I need some money. Like, oh yeah, Facebook check came into my account. Perfect.
Dang.
Yeah.
I know. I've been trying to kind of get on the grind of producing more content like that. It's just such a headache sometimes.
Man, one thing I learned to do is like I'll make a bunch of content ahead of time, then I'll save them in my draft, and then post certain ones on certain days, depending what it is.
Yeah.
That way it's already there in your draft. So all you have to do is just click and post.
So on days that you don't have bartending, what are you doing to keep yourself busy throughout the whole day?
So this last 6 months, I've been prepping for this project and other projects. So right now I'm like between sets. So that's all I've been doing. So I haven't really had much time like when I'm not bartending, because I'm either going on set or I'm studying a script.
Gotcha.
I finished that script, then I finished that project, and now I'm on set for this one. So
do you try to maintain your social life?
Yeah, man, I was struggling with that for a while. So I was like, man, a balance. Me and my mom were talking about it for a while after I had like that crash, and she was just like, you need to see your friends and have a balance. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I've been doing more of that lately. Yeah.
There was this thing to her, it was like this Instagram thing to where it was like, drop off the face of the planet for 6 months, go super hard, and then come back. I tried doing that, but I realized of how unhealthy that actually is.
Very unhealthy.
Because it's like, yeah, you can go super hard with working and stuff, but we're social creatures, and the number one thing for people is their network, and you can't network with anyone if you're just but it's also trying to maintain the relationships with people that you actually need to versus the ones that are just easier to.
Yeah.
Like actually maintaining relationships and being more intentional with relationships with those who are along your path and stuff. Like, yeah, you can always hit up the guy who smokes weed 24/7 and doing all that. He'll probably get back to you, or the other guy doing this. A lot of times it's a lot more difficult to gain the network of those people that are on the same path as you, doing all that. So that's been definitely a big challenge for me.
One thing I learned, man, is just live life.
Yeah.
Like, literally just go out and live life. Because my whole thing was like, being an athlete my whole life was like, if I'm not working, somebody is outworking me right now. And I don't like that.
Yeah.
Like, I know someone's outworking me, so I have to keep working. So my whole thing was just like, just live life and experience and have fun. But your creativity is going to be sparked even more. Like, if you can just enjoy life, you're out doing stuff, you might pick up something from somewhere that you're out doing something. Like, oh, that one time, I can use that for a character. Like, for me, it's like bartending. I meet so many different people. And sometimes people I meet, I'm like, oh, and I'll incorporate that into the character I'm out building. Like,
oh, yeah?
There's this one guy I met told me this crazy story about this. Or like, yeah, this guy had this crazy personality, and I'll try to take that stuff and put it into characters. Like, well, yeah, man, I meet so many people from like different walks of life, and just so many like interesting people. Like, because people will come at the bar and just sit and just want to talk. So you're like, cool.
That is the cool thing about that kind of job.
They just want to talk. I'm like, oh, that was interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I could use that.
Plus, I mean, especially depending on what kind of bar you're at, you might be able to meet some like really like interesting individuals.
Oh man, yeah. So I'm in a city called Bellevue, Washington. So Bellevue is like a very rich, high-end city. It's where like Microsoft and Google's all based out of.
Oh wow.
So like this is where like people move here from like California for the tech. So like, I don't know if you watch football, but the Seahawks. Seahawks.
Yeah.
So there's a bar in Bellevue called Legion that was built by the Legion of Boom. So like Cam Chancellor and those guys run that restaurant. So we get like Sierras used to be in Seattle all the time. Russell Wilson, like you'll see all these. Yeah, you'll see them all the time down there.
Do you get to like talking?
Yeah, they're local with like everybody in Bellevue.
So you'll actually get to like.
You can walk in and be like, oh, what's up, Cam?
Really?
Yeah, or whatever.
Do these guys typically, when you're doing that, have a pride to themselves of like, oh, you're not doing this, I'm not gonna talk to you, or are they pretty chill and they're like, yeah, what's up, man?
They're all chill.
Really? I love people like that, to where they don't let the fame or they don't let the power and stuff get to them. That's one of the things, like with Jack Black in his promotions and stuff for Kung Fu Panda. I've never seen anything with him to where he's like telling people go fuck off or whatever because he thinks he's too important. Or Keanu Reeves, like people like that, to where when they get up to a certain status, they understand that they're still human beings.
Keanu is a hero.
Yes.
Who needs to be protected at all costs.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
The way that man gives is unbelievable.
Yeah. Oh, no, I honestly, I would love to have a career or like have something like, you were mentioning Tom Cruise earlier. For me, it'd be Keanu. The fact that like, when I watch John Wick, there's actual really good martial arts that are incorporated in his films, and it's like actual it's not just like, oh, do a punch like this and do like something like this and we'll make it look good. It's like, no, he had to study combat, study jiu-jitsu, study Muay Thai, study all these different things to portray what this character of John Wick does, and you can see it in these fight sequences, and it's the most beautiful thing in the world.
See, I would want to have an Adam Sandler type life.
Yeah.
The man just walks around in basketball shorts and a long T-shirt and just goes play basketballs at the most random parks and LA Fitnesses. Like, it's so crazy. This man's worth like $400 million, and he dresses like just a regular old dude in the street. Like, it's so random. Just like, and he's with the public people just playing ball and stuff. I'm like, see, that's how I want to live like that.
There was Rob Schneider. He just moved out here.
He's out here?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
He lives out here now.
He's with Adam Sandler's whole crew.
Yeah.
You know, like Adam Sandler, David Spade, Rob Schneider, Chris Rock, like all those guys. Yeah.
So he moved out here a few years ago, and I used to be a driver for Amazon, like delivering packages and stuff. And our area was like the rich part of Phoenix and stuff. I don't know exactly his neighborhood. I don't know exactly where he lives or anything, but we had in Amazon, we had these things called rescues, where once you're done with your route, you would help someone else so that you're all going back to the station around the same time. I was picking up this route or whatever. The look on my coworker's face was just like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, yo, what's going on? He's like, do you know who I just delivered to? And I'm like, dude, it's Scottsdale. It could have been anybody. And I'm like, just tell him. And he's like, do you know Rob Schneider? And I'm like, duh. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, I went to his house and delivered directly to him. He was standing outside waiting for his landscapers or whatever to do all this, and immediately like he let him take a picture with him. He let him like, oh yeah, what's up?
That's
man?
wild. 50 First Dates was my favorite movie for him.
Really?
Just because I'm from Hawaii, so
that makes
watching him
sense.
play a local, bro, that shit had me cracking up. Yeah.
I'm still, my favorite thing from him was Waterboy.
Oh, wait, Rob Schneider's role in Waterboy?
Yeah, he was the "you can do it"
Oh,
guy.
that's right. Yeah,
he was
yeah,
the guy that was
yeah,
always saying that.
yeah.
He only had like three words
lines.
to
Yeah,
say.
and it was those same
But it
three
was
words.
like, it made him iconic, that or Grown Ups.
Oh,
I love
yep.
Grown Ups with him.
Yep.
Oh my, iconic. But like actors like that, I just respect so much more, to where they don't think of themselves above anyone else. They know it's just a job, and yeah, they're in the public eye, but it kind of makes you like really even look more down on other actors who are like, you can't afford to get into this place, so I'm not gonna talk to you. And I'm like, dude, I'm a human being and you're a human being. Instead of being like that, why don't you try to lift them up a little bit, you know?
I say the same thing, but I kind of also look at it away because like a lot of them have like fuck you type money,
Yeah, oh yeah.
you know, and like I think after a while of living like that, it's hard to say because like
Yeah.
you know, imagine you had that much money for that long, and you just like it's not, you just forget, and it's just like
Yeah.
so like it's always like people say, oh, I'd never change if I get money. But as soon as someone hands you a check,
Oh no, things change
right away,
for sure.
yeah,
Things change, and it's
right away.
like more money. Like money doesn't buy happiness, but it buys opportunity, and it buys the ability to
It's
like
freedom. That's what
go.
it's for me.
Yeah, like that was why, like, for me with money. Obviously, I don't need to be like stupid rich with more money than I can even imagine, but it does allow you to be able to get into other places where people take you seriously. And that's like the whole entrepreneur thing. If you're an actor and you're an A-lister and stuff, obviously there's hundreds of billions of people around that want to be an actor, but they're not willing to put in the work to become an actor, or at least a successful actor. And that's where, like, if you are up to there, you know that you're not, like, you're mostly going to talk to people that have also been in stuff because they've been through the same thing. So I can kind of see it from that point of view. But it's kind of like having that kind of fuck you money allows you to not even think twice of like, oh, if I can go to this film festival that it costs this much money to go into, obviously it doesn't really matter for me, but I know that that's enough of a sacrifice for anybody that they're not going to go just to bullshit. They're going to go because they're serious. Or that was the same thing with Lifetime Fitness. I go to a much cheaper gym, but I had another friend that he goes to Lifetime because of the ability that he knows that if people are there, that means that they're probably more than likely financially in a place that they can afford to be at a gym like that. Therefore, they're doing higher value stuff, if that makes sense.
All right. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Top 3 favorite movies.
I hate that so much because it depends on the genre for me. And it also
Just say like you turn the last 3 you turn the TV on and the first movie you're putting on. Let's put it that way. Like if you was to go sit down and put a movie on right now.
Yeah. I love Baby Driver.
Oh, okay.
I love Good Will Hunting, one of my favorite. I'm so, like, when I'm on the spot, I cannot think of the exact names or anything like that. There's been a few movies that have been, like, hardcore tearjerkers. I just watched Interstellar for the first time the other night.
Oh, that's a good one.
That one was incredible.
That came out in like 2009 or something like
yeah,
that. Yeah,
it's a little bit older,
Yeah.
but, like, that one, that hit some heartstrings for sure. There was Collateral Beauty with Will Smith. I think that
I
was
remember that one,
definitely
too.
underrated for sure. I love
Definitely
Hitch.
agree.
Hitch,
Classic.
Hitch was a classic.
Classic.
It was one of those movies too that wasn't like a spin-off of another movie.
Right.
It was a very original type of idea, at least
Yeah.
from what I remember about it. Ace Ventura with Jim Carrey.
Mhm.
Anything with Jim Carrey, honestly.
Liar Liar is probably my favorite Jim Carrey movie besides Masks.
Yeah,
Those ones.
I like Yes Man.
Mhm.
That one, like teaching the ability to just to say yes. That was like, dang, that's pretty cool. Fast and Furious, the older ones. I grew up on Fast and Furious.
Too Fast, Too Furious is my favorite of all time.
Yeah,
Yep, second one.
I grew up on those movies, so
Me
I know a
too.
lot of people have stigma around it. But for me, I'm like, my mom would literally pull me out of school to go watch an IMAX the day it came out because of the
That's
fact
crazy.
of how much that was kind of what got me into the whole race cars and racing and action and all that. And obviously, yes, now it's way too Hollywoodified.
Like I was saying earlier,
Yeah,
but the crazy thing is though, the fan base is still there because they're making billions.
Oh yeah.
People are like, why are they still making these? Because they're making billions.
Well, and it's also the people that's in it now. You have The Rock, you have John Cena.
Well, I mean, even like, because even The Rock was saying, like, or Ludacris was saying, they spend $20 million on the movie and they made $1 billion.
Yeah.
Like, why would you stop?
Oh no.
It doesn't make any sense.
Well, there was a thing that Paul Walker, when he originally made, because Paul Walker's like the original creator of Fast and Furious, he wanted at least 10 movies. His dying wish was for 10 movies.
The original
to be created.
contract was 6, and then they extended it out 4 more to 10. So they got 1 more after this is the finale. This is it.
I think then it might have been before even the contract was negotiated. It was, I don't know when the timeline is. I just know that there were texts and stuff showing that Paul said that he wanted 10 movies to be made. I don't remember if that was maybe after the contract and like he was like, we need more, we need 10, or if that was before the contract and 6 was all that could get approved.
Yeah.
I just know that there was text or whatever saying that Paul wanted 10 movies to be made, which is one of the reasons why Vin Diesel pushed for 10 movies. And obviously, there's definitely could be more. I still haven't watched the newest one.
There's 1 more coming out. This is finale. Vin Diesel just announced it.
Of course.
Yeah. The last one.
They always do that.
It's the last one.
Honestly,
yeah.
I stopped watching after, not this last new one, but the new one before.
I like him.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's so Hollywood, but I'm like, it's if you just watch it for the movie, it's dope.
Yeah.
It
just doesn't have the same touch. It's not about racing cars.
Oh, it's not. We're in space now.
Yeah, exactly. we're in a whole different spectrum of stuff.
They're going Marvel.
But I have heard that Dune 2, I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard that one is
It's
10
insane.
out of 10.
Yeah. I haven't seen it yet either, but I've heard the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your top 3 movies? I asked you, or you asked me mine. What are yours?
My all-time favorite movie, Training Day.
Training Day.
That's Denzel's best movie. Oh, you haven't seen Training Day?
No.
Oh man. Okay.
You made me feel so uncultured.
Oh man, you gotta go watch Training Day. Yeah, it's with him and oh man, see now you're gonna make me pull this up.
Let me see what time.
It's 3:55. That's crazy, man. That's Denzel's really best movie. Like it was with him and as his co-star Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hawke.
Yes.
Did you watch what was it called? It was Ethan Hawke's last one. I cannot remember what it's called, but it's like he plays this guy who kidnaps this kid, and he always wears this mask or something. But he keeps
It sounds familiar.
It's about that ghost phone. It's where there's like a phone in there, but it's not connected to anything. But like when the kid picks up the phone, he can hear the voices of all the kids that have died in there before him. I cannot remember for the life of me what it's called, but it was so good. And then it took me a while to realize that his daughter is also an actor.
Oh yeah, Maya Hawke.
Yeah,
Dude,
she plays like Robin and stuff. I was like, wait, that's her?
Yeah.
What?
This was young Ethan Hawke. He shouldn't have won the man. His performance was so good, but the fact he was next to Denzel, it got overshadowed. Yeah. But man, go watch Training Day. Like
I'm gonna watch that tonight.
When you go home, go watch it. Seriously, yeah. Yeah.
Send me a text to remind me, but I definitely.
All right.
I'll watch
man,
that for sure.
Yeah, you definitely got to watch it. That's like my number 1 go-to. If it's not that, then probably All About the Benjamins, Mike Epps, Ice Cube. No? Oh,
I haven't seen that one. Okay,
you gotta go see that too. Do you know the actor Tommy Flanagan?
I know the name.
Okay, Tommy Flanagan, he's a very young Tommy Flanagan in this one. Okay. I'd see either that or probably next Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Classics.
Yeah.
All classics.
Yeah. I mean, I have a whole list more, but those probably like right now, those are 3. Yeah, definitely Training Day. You gotta go watch that.
That's dope. Yeah, I'll definitely have to watch it. There's one question that I ask everybody on here, just because, especially depending on the industry that they're in or how they grew up and stuff. What is your definition of success, and how will you know that you have achieved it?
That's a very good question. Honestly, I don't know. I think for me, it's like every day, if you can be better than you were yesterday, and that's success. Just being a better version of yourself every day. I don't know if you can really measure a level of success. Success is in the eye of the beholder.
That's why I ask it,
Yeah.
because in each beholder,
It's different.
they have different eyes for it. So that's why it's like for you.
For me, I was like, if I'd say for me, winning the Actor of the Year award was like, okay, maybe I can do this thing.
Yeah.
Like maybe this is for me.
Hmm.
This is for me. It's just a reminder of just like I was at that point, and just to keep pushing forward.
So do you think that you've already hit success then?
At that time, because my goal, I've always wanted to win something like that,
Mm-hmm.
of like some type of individual award. I thought it would always be cool, like dreamed of it. I never thought it actually happened. So that was a success for me. As far as do I think I'm successful?
Or what would it look like for you to be able to confidently say that you're successful?
The minute I book a series,
Really?
that's my like. I want to do TV.
Mm.
Like TV is what I want to do. I want to be able to play a character for 6-7 seasons. You know, like, I mean, just being here on this podcast with you and being on set right now,
Yeah.
I'm successful. I feel successful. Anytime I'm on set, I'm just like grateful. Like,
Right.
this is success to me. Every time I get on set, man, it's not easy to book.
No, it is not.
No, it is not easy to book.
Especially when you're in a place that has a very crowded market.
Yeah, like every time I get on a plane to go to work somewhere, I'm like, damn,
Yeah.
this is crazy.
And when you have traveled, has it always been paid for?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That, to me, like, I know when I first get that, that's gonna be my surreal moment of like, I'm traveling, I'm getting to experience a new place without having to pay out of pocket,
Yeah.
and I get to do what I love for it. For me, I'm like, damn.
I get to do what I love. I get to travel because I come from a single parent household with 3 sisters and a mom trying to raise us. So traveling was not a thing for me. I didn't start traveling until I got into this industry.
That's kind of where I'm at. I haven't traveled hardly at all over.
So I'm
ever.
like, man, and I get to do it. I don't got to pay anything.
Say
Man,
less.
That's where I feel the most successful. I'm like, man, these directors and production companies have faith enough where they're gonna pay for everything for me and still pay me on top of it.
Yeah.
To come out and do this. You know what? To answer your question, yeah, that's success right there.
Heck yeah.
No matter what level it's at, it doesn't even have to be box office level. I'm still not paying for anything.
Exactly.
So,
Well, John, I appreciate you. I appreciate you sharing your insights and stuff.
Yeah,
and
man.
I'm glad that we were able to kind of do this, especially while you're out here. Do you know what distribution the movie's going to be on?
I can't say anything.
Okay. Okay. Well, when it is out,
Yeah.
we'll be able to post it and stuff.
But when there is updates and stuff, I will be posting it when there's updates
Cool.
for stuff that I can say. So,
Is there anything that we didn't touch on that you want to make sure gets said?
yeah, if people want to see like any of my projects, you can IMDb Jon Meggison or come to my Instagram, Jon Meggison Official, and check out my movies on Tubi and Apple TV and Prime. Can I say the name of the movies?
Go for it. I don't care.
A Haunting in Ravenwood, Conjuring the Beyond, The Horrorverse, Survivor's Choice, all on Apple TV. Check them out, and then follow my Instagram for other updates. So,
Heck yeah.
yeah.
Well, I appreciate you, John. Thank
Thanks,
you.
man. Appreciate it.